Greetings and salutations, viewers and listeners. Welcome to episode 93 of Word Ninjas Live. I am your host, Charles, your instigator of creative insanity. Because it's convention week, there's no productivity this week. There is just insanity and running around and flailing and books. Lots and lots of books. Hey, joining me tonight are my regular hosts, or co-hosts, Will.
Hello.
Justin.
Disheveled, but here.
And Calvin.
Everything hurts.
As you can see, between the four of us, we probably have one working body. So with that, we're going to do a show.
As much of a show as we can muster.
Yeah. Well, seeing as today was actually a convention day, I came back with about 40 minutes to spare because I managed to catch an earlier train. Today is going to be BookExpo First Impression, since there's still tomorrow and Friday, not to mention BookCon on Saturday and Sunday. Good lord. And I'm sure Justin's just going to love this segment because we get to do a book haul of all the stuff I got.
For free.
For free.
Well, that's fine.
So that's the caveat.
Yeah, no spending money on books.
I didn't spend a dime on any of this.
Well, that's fine.
Unless you factor in travel costs and food.
I don't.
Yay.
Now I do.
Crap.
Oh.
But yeah, Book Expo 2015 so far for just the first half day, it's run pretty smoothly from what I can see. I mean, they had the registration lines just powering through all the people who had pre-registered and had their stuff. I got all three of our badges within like a 2-minute span of getting in a line that was about 30 people long. So, thankfully, we're all set. And the layout's a little different this year, but just as many vendors and exhibitors and whatnot. Although a good portion is now taken over with more international exhibitors, primarily China. They have, I'd say, 1/5 to 1/6 of one side of the convention hall of just Chinese vendors. And then you also have the other international vendors from various other places. It seems like all of the heavy hitter publishers are still on the same side. I'm still not sure how BookCon is going to play out, considering it's the same convention. They're not going to move people around, so I'm not sure which side of the hall they're taking. Presumably the side without the international vendors, but I don't know. I'll find out Saturday. And I did learn that some of the people I was not expecting to be there are actually there this year. It's just they are in smaller groups where instead of them having individual tables, it's like a dozen people in one giant booth all sharing one common space. And it's under that name when you search for it. So I was pleasantly surprised to find various people that we met last year that I didn't expect to see again. So yay! And I got to meet some of the people that we're interviewing on Friday, and I even got some copies of the books for that.
Nice.
Yes. And I think it's just because it was the first half day, it did not seem overwhelming. It was not crowded, it wasn't overkill. I only missed one book grab because I showed up a half an hour early, and they ran out of books about 20 minutes before I showed up. Because apparently it's a popular book and all. So if you don't show up an hour beforehand, you're not getting one.
Ooh.
But otherwise, I had no problems just roaming around, seeing what there was to see, getting a lay of the land. So tomorrow we have a few talks lined up, not necessarily interviews, but I'm going to have my recorder with me just in case if we get anything worthwhile. We'll see. Friday's really the big hitter day where we get 4 or 5 interviews. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I.
And
As
of course,
I lug all of my equipment.
you better show up, because I don't want to lug my stuff. I don't want to carry my
Well,
rig.
Well, I've already put in for my my exchange day, so I'm coming.
That's good.
I'll be there.
I'm taking tomorrow and Friday off, even though I'm working tomorrow. I'll explain how that works later. And I am going, and it's a good thing we have all those interviews on Friday because there'll be 3 of us instead of just poor CJ trying to record all that.
But
Do you feel that the fact that it's not on the weekend anymore changes based on your experiences last year?
I have a feeling it will have a significant difference in that BookExpo last year was, I want to say, like Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you get the weekend crowd, which can kind of pump up the foot traffic. And then I think it was Sunday was also BookCon concurrently with BookExpo, so it just exploded with foot traffic and was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was madness in every sense of the word.
I think,
Fun madness, but still madness.
yeah, that might be why they've split the 2 conventions. So I did notice that there was still a fair amount of non-industry attendees, in that they were definitely too young to be bloggers or self-published or own a publishing company or anything, because I don't think they're even in high school yet, from what I could see from some of the ages there. So I'm not quite sure how that worked, but
Large sums of money.
yeah. I mean, if you need a helper, you just got to pay the price of the extra ticket, as long as one of you has a business that fits within the logistics of BookExpo. Thankfully, we fit in there.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Yeah.
Technicalities.
But one of the many fun things about BookExpo is generally free advanced release copies. And I have a few of them. And seeing as I'm not going to have time to do a book haul video until Monday, I figure I might as well do today's book haul today on the show. I'll probably do a full book haul on Monday once I actually have time to recoup and hopefully get a couple hours of sleep. Maybe. Possibly. Probably not. But yeah, kicking things off, I did find our friend Spencer Hill Press from last year. They are there again, and I said hello. And I managed to get Michelle Smith's Play On, which I started reading on the train, and I'm already, well, a third of the way through now. And if it ends the way I'm hoping it really doesn't end, I'm going to be upset. Because they're really heading towards a Walk to Remember territory, and I'm not going to lie, I love that movie. It's a guilty pleasure, but please don't go into that territory. Because, no, not allowed.
Because sadness.
Yeah.
I too enjoyed that movie. It was fine.
And we also got The Stag Lord by Darby Kay, also by Spencer Hill Press. And I don't think I've read anything by Darby Kay yet, either under this pseudonym or the other one. This one is apparently the pseudonym for books that are not for children. So, I'm intrigued. And I mean, it's Spencer Hill Press. Everything I've read from them so far has been fantastic, so I'm sure I'm not going to be let down. and I'll have a lot of fun with it. We also got Reconstruction, First a Body, Then a Life by Ara Lucia Ashburn, which has a very nice cover art, which caught my attention originally. We also have The Ohm Factor, 7 Essential Tools and 7 Key Traits to Cultivate for Your Success and Well-Being by Alka Dilion. By Select Books, which I'm not overly familiar with, but they were in the same huddle with Spencer Hill Press. You got The Diet Myth, Why the Secret to Health and Weight Loss is Already in Your Gut by Tim Spector. And I actually got to talk to the author for like 2 minutes about it. Sounds very interesting. Let's see. Rememberers, an urban fantasy novel by C. Edward Baldwin. There we go. I think he was just a standalone author there, if I remember correctly. Very nice person. And we have 7 Brides for 7 Bodies by Stephanie Bond, which the line was about 2 people long when they were doing the book signing, so I figured, why not? Because most of the lines are not 2 people long. And the person was very nice, so I look forward to adding that to my reading pile, or just throwing it at someone else on the crew to read, because I do that.
Do you do that?
Occasionally. You still have some of my books, and so does Will. I don't think I've thrown any at Calvin. He just takes whatever he wants.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds like a Calvin move.
I still want to read Blood for the Sun, because you got that one last year.
Oh, you didn't get a copy of that one?
No,
okay.
We only got 1 copy, and you grabbed it first.
Ah, okay. All right. We'll do a swap at some point.
Eventually.
I got to finish my current book, and then I'll get to that one.
It's going to take me a while to get through these, so there's no rush.
Okay.
We also have Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. Points for the rhyming. This was from Amulet Books.
Why does that title sound familiar?
It is now a major motion picture, according to the cover.
Well,
Though this novel begs comparisons to John Green's The Fault in Our Stars, it stands on its own in inventiveness, humor, and heart. Well then. Yep. You also have Your Heart is a Muscle the Size of a Fist by Sunil Yapa. And the little promo quote on here is a literary Molotov cocktail. Here's the cover. This is from Lee Bordeaux Books, which is an imprint of Little Brown and Company. Huh. We get a little mystical with Mornings with the Masters, Mystical Journeys in a Postmodern World by Carol E. Richardson, which I talked to her for a little while. Apparently it blends a lot of the religious and cultural icons and kind of blends all of their philosophies together into one master philosophy, as it were. It sounded interesting. You got 5 Nincompoops, The Princess and One Savior, How It All Went Down by K. Edward, which is a little book. Nice and should be a fun little read. You also have The Stages of Grace by Connie Rubin and Kate O'Neill, which was a memoir piece, if I remember correctly. Run to Live by Greg Spagna, who apparently has been running every other day for like 50 years to keep in health and do other things, and tossed all of his life lessons in there. He was a very nice person to talk to. And then from Waldorf Publishing, who we get to talk to on Friday, How to Get People to Scream Your Name and Beg for More. The P's and Keys to Living the Ultimate Life by Tom Morrison.
So, CJ, I remember you telling me that you are not allowed to bring a rolly cart to carry all these books.
Correct. They do tend to frown on that.
How did you carry all of these books? Because this is starting to get absurd, and it sounds to me like you have more books that you're going to go through. How did you carry all of these books physically?
Well, I had my message.
I might be able to answer that one. If it's anything like last year, there's plenty of vendors that give out various branded bags and the like, and so I'm willing to bet that CJ has gotten at least one of them. And look at that.
From Waldorf Publishing.
But just the required arm strength to carry those around literally all day.
This is actually...
I think Justin's trying to say that CJ's a weakling.
No. I'm impressed that he can carry that much for long periods of time.
No. I am a weakling. That is true.
Just kind of the excitement of the day kind of keeps you going.
Do I need to do bicep curls tonight to make sure I can carry all these books?
I had them split between these two bags, and then I kind of shifted some into my messenger bag and tossed the rest into one of these bags, and it all kind of balanced out. It was admittedly heavy, but...
I may bring a backpack. Do they allow backpacks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Backpacks are allowed, yeah.
I did see people with rolly bags around. It's just, it really is frowned upon. Because people...
They're annoying.
Yeah, people get... book avalanche. People get tripped on them. They just get in the way. We also have, what is this? Keep a Knockin', the story of a legendary drummer by Charles Connor, also by Waldorf Publishing. And it has a foreword by Chad Smith, drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Nice. Here's the book itself. And the last book, before Justin totally freaks out, What Did Jesus Drive? Crisis PR in Cars, Computers, and Christianity by Jason Vines. Also by Waldorf Publishing. And not a book, but also just one of the various little giveaways and around. Feathered Friend Notes, with artwork by Eloise Renouf, which is just a little notepad stationery box thing that was about. From actually a very nice publisher that I want to talk to tomorrow if I get the time, because they seem very interesting and I want to learn out more. But that is the book haul for day 1, which was only from 1 to 5, so only 4 hours. So 16 books in 4 hours.
Well, I mean, you already visited all the tables once, right? So you have all the books that you could possibly get just from day 1. There's definitely not neglected huge swaths of books that you have not been able to take one of each from.
Can I answer this one? Can I answer this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, CJ's probably not going to get even more books. I mean, this seems to be the limit for this 3-day weekend. I mean, we still have the other book thing on the weekend, so I mean, he's gonna have too many books.
You forget where this expo is taking place.
J. Crew.
You got the first
You-
letter right.
That's what I call the Javits Center. It's J. Crew.
Yeah, CJ probably like managed to hit a fifth of all the available publishers at the Javits Center just today. There's plenty more ground to cover in the next couple of days.
Yeah, today was just wandering through and getting a lay of the land. Tomorrow is a concentrated effort to actually pin down ones that we want to talk to in the future. And there's a few timed book signings, like for Michael Kep, he's going to be at one of the signing tables. I want to talk to him again because he's a fun person, and we got to talk to him last year. We got him on the show for an episode. I forget which one specifically, but he's a fantastic guy. I want to say hello. And there's a few others that are... A lot of these books, they're just there, so you can grab one, or it's about a half of them are just, they're there, you can grab them, and then you're good to go. The other half is they're timed, so you get them signed by the author, but they're there from like 3 to 4 at the specific booth. So if you want the book, you have to show up within that time frame. Or in the case of one that I tried to get to, I think it was about 3 o'clock, I showed up at 2:30, all of the arcs were already gone for like 20 minutes because it was a popular book, so you have to show up an hour to like 70 minutes before in order to get one of the copies before you can even get it signed. Because it really is like Comic-Con, but for books. So some of the heavy hitter names or series really draws in the crowd. Like tomorrow, along with Michael Kep, I also want to get a signed copy of the new book from Welcome to Night Vale, because I presume that's what they'll be signing at the autograph table tomorrow. Because that book isn't out yet from what I remember, and I want it. Especially since the creator of Night Vale is going to be signing it, so I want it. And I can see Justin just rolling his eyes and trying not to comment.
I'm just overwhelmed with anticipation for Friday. I have so many questions, but we're literally after this podcast going to have a meeting that will address all these questions. So I'm trying to bite my tongue and move the podcast forward and not bore the listeners with my awful questions that they probably know the answers to.
I'm sure the answers are, yes, I'm going to get more books. And considering that was 16 books in 4 hours, I can only imagine what 2 8 to 9 hour days are going to do to me.
I'm just glad on Friday we have a bunch of flash interviews to distract you from getting more books.
Yes. And we've already gotten those books, so hey.
Unless the interviewers have even more books.
No.
They do.
How's the and I'm sure the readers will be interested in this as well, or the listeners. What would you say is the genre breakdown by percentage?
In regards to fiction versus nonfiction, since that's about as generic as you can get, I would say about 80% fiction, 20% nonfiction. If you go and try to break down the fiction, I actually don't know. That would be hard. I mean, you have all the major players.
I'll ask a new question that only I care about. What would you say is the horror distribution?
Comparatively minimal from what I've just barely seen. I mean, there may be some standalone horror authors, but I don't think I saw the Horror Writers Association, or I forget their full proper name. I don't think I saw them there. I saw the Romance Writers Association, and I saw sci-fi and fantasy, but not horror. I did miss 3 or 4 aisles, though, so I'd have to look. But I mean, they have all the major big publishers there, so I'm sure they have some horror books amidst, but of the 80% that's fiction, probably 5 to 8% of that is horror. I think the primary sellers are high fantasy, modern fantasy. There's, of course, Harlequin, which more or less stands alone, along with, what are they? I think it's Alora's Cave is romance, but a little more showy than Harlequin, in that they don't have booth babes. They have the male equivalent. Like
Booth bros.
Yeah.
Are
those
any of them
people-
wearing cowboy hats by any chance?
Not that I saw,
Okay.
but those people have more muscles than... Their muscles weigh more than I do, I should say. They are very intimidating.
Booth dudes at a book convention. There's something I didn't think would be a thing.
You can go say hello to them on Friday.
I'm good.
Sure.
I'm pretty okay.
How about some Harlequin romance?
It's not really my thing either. I'm not
They do have a
even
very
sure
nice
what
set,
that
to be fair.
romance subgenre even is, but I'm pretty sure I'm not interested.
Well, you never know. You can still check it out on Friday.
It'll be an interesting experience.
Yeah, this will definitely be one of the biggest conventions you'll probably experience, at least
what now?
once. Compared to Inconceivable or your Minicon. It's a little bigger.
Just a tad.
Maybe 3 more people than those other conventions.
I'm sure there's a large proportion of emotionally stable people will be at the book convention. I think I'll fit in.
They did actually have a panel on Star Wars today that I missed because I wasn't paying attention at the time.
Was it them just screaming angrily that none of their books are canon anymore?
Maybe. And I did notice that they, what was it? Quirk Press was there with a booth, and they had all 6 Star Wars movies transcribed into Shakespeare, or Shakespearean verse.
Hey,
So-
I have one of those.
I think they've done the prequels as well now. I'm
I think-
kind of intrigued. They're also the ones that are responsible for Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. Which I still want to read, considering how ridiculous Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was. But yeah, overall, first day of BookExpo 2015 was a lot of fun, and it went pretty smoothly. No real complaints that I can say so far, but it's only day 1 of 3, and then there's BookCon, so we'll see what I have to say for next week. And just how much grumbling Justin will have for next week.
I'm assuming that Friday is going to be a madhouse, because that's when everyone's going to show up.
Probably. Friday's going to be busy just because it's the last day of BookExpo, so they're going to have a fair amount of heavy hitters for the autograph sessions. They're going to have some decent panels, some good book giveaways or signings and all that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking Thursday is the day where people show up super early to get the book that they know is going to be gone in 45 seconds. Thursday is going to be pretty meh. Probably not a whole lot of people going in unless they already have the day off. Friday, though, is going to be...
Yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be people who have specific goals in mind or specific authors and books they want to target, or if they have meetings like we do on Friday. I mean, I have a couple meetings tomorrow morning, so I'm looking forward to it all. We'll get the full rundown next week, because by then it'll all have happened. But in the meantime, hey, we have another talkie point.
We do. So I had half of what I would consider the best dinner that I've ever had. It requires a different side. And I got to thinking, what is everyone's ideal dinner? And if you wanted to be more creative, you could also talk about the characters in your various novels. I won't mind. But I do want to hear everyone's personal picks. So I made a very large, thick steak. I cooked it a little bit too much. I didn't let it rest, so it ended up being more medium well than medium. But it was grass-fed beef instead of your generic standard wheat and grain hay-fed beef. And the flavor is completely different. I don't know if this is a scam by the company that makes the grass-fed burgers where they add something else to the meat that I don't know about, but it is pretty darn good. And I took some really funky blue cheese, and I put that on top, and melted it down a little bit. And that was the main course. And that is my ideal main course, just in general. No sauce, no marinade, just really good steak, a little bit of blue cheese, and some Himalayan pink salt or regular salt and some ground pepper. That's all you need. So I had that. And my ideal side for that meal would probably be my famous wedge salad, which is, if those of you who don't know what a wedge salad is, it is hilarious because it is not really a salad at all. What you do is you take an iceberg lettuce and you cut it in like a whole head, and you cut it into fourths. So then you've got a fourth of an iceberg lettuce wedge. And then you cover it with as much blue cheese and bacon as humanly possible before it starts just overflowing the plate or the bowl that you're on. I like to add diced tomatoes, diced red onions, and green onion as well. Sometimes I get a little fancy and add some other stuff like some pine nuts or something, but usually it's a fake salad in that iceberg lettuce is really basically water. There's no nutritional value whatsoever to iceberg lettuce. It's not like arugula lettuce where you get all those vitamins and stuff. It is really just water. And so it is merely a vessel to hold all the blue cheese and bacon. And so that's my ideal side for the steak and blue cheese. For a drink, it would probably be, if I want something warm, it would be some sort of scotch. You all know me. If it was something cold, I really like, and if I'm having it with my wife who doesn't drink, I'll usually get one of those like bubbling ciders that you can get from any store that's non-alcoholic, like a pear cider or a bubbling. I don't think they do grape. I think they do apple, pear, and some other stuff. But yeah, I'll usually do that and pour them into a champagne flute because I'm fancy like that. Drinking $4 bubble water in a champagne flute makes me feel special.
Yeah, I know Trader Joe's makes some good sparkling cider for apple. I think they have a pomegranate one, even. Ooh, that's not too shabby. And the pear one, I remember.
Yep, we're a big fan of the pear one. IKEA has a really cool pear soda in a can, too.
I don't even know where the nearest IKEA is.
It's in New Haven.
Well, that's probably why I never go.
It's right off the highway. It's not in New Haven proper.
Yeah, but New Haven's all the way over in New Haven.
I'm a little closer to New Haven than you are, I think.
Yeah. That's... Well, compare... yes, it's closer for you, but thinking about it, it's probably an hour to an hour and 15 at most, which I drive regularly anyway. But yeah, I just never really think about it.
I wonder if my last meal, if I knew it was my last meal, would be the aforementioned meal that I just discussed, or if it would be a guilty pleasure meal like a meatball pizza from a guilty pleasure pizza place. I don't know what I would do for a last meal. That's a good sub-question. While I ponder that, what are everyone else's ideal meals?
Well,
CJ can go first since I'm the host of this question.
Well, for my last meal, I would just do ambrosia so that I could survive whatever kills me. Because cheating.
No.
You never specify.
CJ, this question is serious business only. We're an imaginative writing and inspiration podcast. We only talk about serious endeavors when talking about food.
Have you listened to any of our older episodes?
No, there's a reason.
For an ideal dinner, or just meal in general, I'm going to expand it, not that it changes much.
Yeah, if you want to do some stupid brunch bullcrap, I'll allow it.
I don't know, the most meaningful dinner or meal that I would have would be what our family calls Chinese dinner. I don't know why there was a history behind that whole thing, but it's really just a shepherd's pie. I don't know why they call it a Chinese dinner.
Wait, this is important. Does your shepherd's pie have a layer of corn?
Yes.
I've met so many people that don't put a corn layer in their shepherd's pie, and I want to strangle them to death.
But it's a necessary
I don't blame
layer.
You. It's
how can you not have
very necessary.
Right. It's starch, potato starch, corn, which is also starch, and all your other meats, which are probably more starch than meat. That's the whole point.
But yeah, that's a meal we don't really have anymore, but I've always enjoyed, and it's never been disappointing.
Goddamn, I haven't had a good shepherd's pie in forever.
I've had a lot of bad shepherd's pies in a while, but
yeah, any shepherd's pie without a fucking corn layer.
Yeah, that's probably why. We don't really do anything special for salads or appetizers, so I don't really have anything to match for that. I'm pretty impartial.
You know you're allowed to cook for yourself in this scenario, right?
Yeah, but I don't really do salads myself. I'm pretty lazy. I'll just do regular lettuce. I'll mix in some cucumbers, some carrots, fuck tomatoes, maybe some peppers if I really want to, but probably not.
So a farm salad, we would call that.
Basically, yeah. Toss some balsamic vinaigrette on it, and I'm good to go.
All right.
I don't really do alcoholic drinks that much anymore, but I don't know.
You're allowed to have a tall glass of milk with your dinner.
Fuck that. No. That would end in tragedy.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
I'd probably do one of the sparkling ciders or something like that to match
Sparkling
it.
cider master race reporting in.
Yeah. And maybe the family recipe cheesecake.
Okay, first of all, I didn't say anything about dessert. That's next week's talking point.
Spoilers.
Save
Sorry.
it for next week.
Fine. Yeah, that's probably what I would do for just an ideal dinner or meal in general.
I feel like a glass of Guinness would go well with that shepherd's pie.
That would be interesting. I think I haven't...
Nitroed Guinness, not from the can, like at the pub.
Okay.
It may be difficult to bring that home if you make your own shepherd's pie, but...
Yeah. I don't think I've had that shepherd's pie for Probably 10 years now.
You should make it and get it.
I need to get the recipe, which has never been written down because our family is silly that way.
All you need is the layers. If you get an order of the layers, you can marinate the meat however you want and call it a day.
Yeah, that's basically
baked
what we do.
With crap under it.
We don't do recipes. We do, this looks about right. That's the right consistency. I think the color doesn't seem too far off. We're good to go.
That's called cooking.
Yeah.
I approve.
Those are the best recipes.
Recipes are for bakers. Cookers just go off a list of ingredients.
Is that why my cookbook is basically just baked goods?
Yeah.
Isn't that basically how we did back in college?
Yeah, we made it up as we went along. That's why I made some of my best stone soups in college.
Yeah, those were fantastic. Boo yourself, those were delicious.
I managed to piss Dave off a couple times with that.
Wait, how so?
Because of the whole concept of stone soup. I've been raised and taught stone soup has a stone because you need a soup stone for the stone soup.
Yeah. I was thinking, it'd be cool if instead of using a stone, you used like a stone of like Himalayan pink salt, and then I realized it would dissolve and turn the soup really salty.
Maybe a very tiny stone, a pebble.
Himalayan salt pebble, that's crazy enough to work.
Yeah, but then it doesn't do the thing that the soup stone does, and that's keep the soup warm. You're supposed to heat up the stone over a fire and then put it into the soup, and that's what heats up the soup. Or something. CJ can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, the story behind... Do we really want to go into the whole story?
I think we've done it on the podcast already.
Might as well.
We can. You're the boss of this one. You can call it.
You know what? Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So the story of stone soup, as I've been taught, is there's this wandering person who goes into a town which has been hit by famine. So everyone's just kind of hiding out, doing their own thing, keeping their own stores, not really sharing. Guy goes into the middle of town, sets up his little campfire, and starts boiling water. Tosses his stone into the pot and tries to make conversation with the people around, but they're kind of not really talkative because they're all starving and they want to keep their food for themselves. But guy's making soup in the middle of town, so they're kind of curious. He says, this stone soup would be a lot better if you had some potatoes to go with it. Really adds to the flavor. One of the people says, I got a couple potatoes. All right, toss the potatoes in there because he'll share the stone soup with the guy. And he says, what goes really well with the potatoes, add some carrots for some flavor and some depth to the whole soup. One of the other people says, I still got a few carrots. Well, if you share, I'll put them in. And it just goes through, and they keep on tossing more and more bits and pieces of what the people have. And by the end of it, you have a full stew almost of just stone soup where everyone has tossed something in and shared, and they all get their fair share of the soup because they all chipped in. And there's even some left over in the happier versions, so they have plenty of leftovers to go for another couple days. And the whole concept was if everyone shares what little bits they have, then you get something a lot more richer and something happier.
Are you trying to promote communism on our podcast, CJ? As a capitalist, I have to say that I do not agree with any of your stories.
No stone
and I
soup for
believe
you?
that the person who instigated is the best off because he didn't have to provide anything, and he still got all the soup. So he is a capitalist.
He provided the stone. That counts for something.
No.
He provided the pot. He provided the water.
Okay, if you provide the pot, that's pretty serious business. That's okay. That's fair. Would you believe me if I told you I haven't been drinking today?
I don't know. I have no idea how hard of a day you've had because I haven't been paying attention to people lately. I was
I've
too
had a
busy with books.
had a very hard day. Very hard life. We'll get into that in the productivity section.
And chances are you've at least had a shot of something. That
I did
was
not drink
sparkling
today,
cider.
except I drank a F ton of caffeine recently.
Well, that has its own effects.
Yes, I'm a little loopy. Moving on. Wonderful soup story, CJ. Oh, sorry. Calvin, what's your ideal dinner?
I really had to think about this because
God,
my
you didn't go
dietary.
first then.
Yeah, I'm very glad I didn't go first. My dietary requirements have changed dramatically over the last few months, so I really don't eat all the things that I used to. So just food in general has really hasn't had the significance as it has in the past. So I just kind of came up with the most outlandish thing I could think of that might taste good. Now this is something I've never tried, but I do recall CJ and I talking about this many a time, and something that we really need to make one of these days.
Yes. Sold.
There's various versions of this, but just for the sake of argument and for the sake of convenience, a turducken.
Keep it simple.
Yes. Or if you want to kind of go epic mealtime on it, just wrap all the layers in bacon.
I made a bacon duckin in college. Josh and I made it, and it was amazing. Although I do recommend that you pre-cook the bacon slightly.
And you didn't share with us.
I don't think I liked you guys back then. I don't know how that whole college thing worked, because we didn't really hang out. But I don't want to get too off topic.
So yeah, turducken or turbacon ducken, or a version that I found online, turbacon ducken riblets.
That might be overkill.
Oh, what you could do is you could get some spare ribs, shove them into a Cornish game hen, wrap that in bacon.
That's exactly what they did.
Oh, smart. Put it on a rotisserie.
But yeah, I would go for a turducken, whatever version I feel like we're putting together at that particular moment.
What about the Master Shake version, which involved stuffing all of that into a cow, filling it full of cheese, and then deep frying it?
Seeing as how I value my life, no.
That would be a last meal.
Whether you like it or not.
That would be the ideal last meal. For many reasons. But now we're going to keep it simple. A turducken. What would I pair it with?
Well, if you're anything like me, when we made lobster Alfredo, we had a whole bunch of leftover Alfredo juice at the bottom of the pan. So that was covered in like lobster bits, and we put them in shot glasses and did shots of the buttery lobster Alfredo au jus.
That sounds wonderful, but seeing as how I have a shellfish allergy, that's very, very dangerous. So
you would die.
I'd have to That would be my last meal.
Yeah. I don't recommend doing shots of butter with little bits of lobster in it.
No killing our tech guy. We need him.
Yeah. If for oyster, on the other hand, my body can handle that.
Oh, we should go out sometime.
I'm with you on that one.
When I went to Taiwan
for Friday.
Yeah, Yes, we can.
Depending on Justin's timing and availability.
I'm available the whole day on Friday.
There's places that do oyster happy hours, $1 oysters.
I can deal with that.
Wasn't it like what was it, like $8 for a half dozen and a drink?
Oh, that's one place. There's another place that I found. Actually, there's a few places. There, like just $1 oysters for happy hour.
What about like Clams Casino and stuffed oysters and things of that nature? What if I wanted to fancy it up a level? I'm not saying we have to go on Friday. I'm saying in general.
I've never really gotten too fancy with oysters. I did put together some oysters and cooked it down with nice white wine one time, and I went to town on that. I just kind of kept it simple. Whew.
I need some fucking capers. That's all I'm saying.
I think that was an ideal dinner for me. I totally forgot about that. Man, I gotta do that again one day.
When I went to Taiwan, I went to an oyster farm, and it was unlimited oysters, literally straight from the farm.
Did you get to shuck them yourself?
Yes. And
nice.
I think I told the story before, but we were grilling them on a kind of like a charcoal grill, I guess you would say. And we were drinking beer, and I poured beer into the shell and cooked them in the beer. And everyone there that was around me just looked at me. They looked at the beer-filled oyster, and they're like, Justin, you are a genius. And they all went to the bar, and they all got beer, and they all got a bunch of other drinks. There was cider and stuff, and they were just everyone left and right. I was the talk of the town, probably the country for that day. And then later on that day, we went out to eat for dinner, and I ate a peanut with the shell still on, and they thought I was a crazy person, and they shunned me. So I went from...
As they should.
I went from genius to pariah in the same day.
Why would you?
Because of my food habits.
How is the shell tasty?
I love the shell. The shell's the best part.
You can have them.
That's fine. Well, I have to have the peanut. I'm not just going to eat shells. I'm not a crazy person. But yeah, I love salt, and most of the salt is on the shell, and so I just eat the shells whole. Lots of fiber. It's good for you.
I'm open to trying that.
I've had weirder.
But yeah, ideal dinner. Turducken, some oysters. Round out the food coma trifecta with a nice red wine. That sounds like a good night.
Yeah. Will, what's your good night in regards to food?
You should.
I've had a lot of time to think about this now. I'm gonna go with homemade meatloaf. It must contain mushrooms, onions, and bell peppers.
So, not to constantly be the one-upper, but one of these days I should make this for you if you're a meatloaf fan. I make an aromatic meatloaf, so it's got a lot of herbs in it. It's got a lot of chives and rosemary and basil and stuff like that. But what I do is I cook little, basically, meat balls in a muffin tin in a bacon weave. So I weave a bacon muffin tin cup into the muffin tin. Oh, it gets better. And then I take the meatloaf and I put it on there. So all the juices from the meatloaf congeal onto the bacon cup and makes it a solid. And then on top, I put garlic whipped mashed potatoes with a little bit of milk, so that's nice and fluffy. And then I sprinkle on some chives, so it looks like a cupcake with sprinkles. And it is amazing.
That may actually beat Ed's meatloaf, and Ed's meatloaf is amazing.
Ed wouldn't bother going through all that nonsense, though.
It does.
I know his reaction would be, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing all that.
Fuck that. Put it in a bread loaf and call it a day.
Well, we found little bread loaf pans once. They're about this big. So they were enough to make a mini personal meatloaf, one for each of us.
Yeah, that's what I typically do too. I highly recommend that style.
Either that or you just make a big one and just have the slices. And then you have plenty of leftovers for meatloaf sandwiches.
Meatloaf sandwiches.
Always good.
There's something I haven't had in a long time.
I would probably pair it with a beer, like an ale. Not too heavy. That would probably be it for me. I do enjoy my homemade meatloaf. I did once have it at a restaurant, though, where they cooked it on the grill, and it was quite tasty. It had a very nice crust to it.
Ooh. I love that meatloaf crust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do the ketchup glaze meatloaf?
I usually just put ketchup on it.
Yeah, I was never a fan of the ketchup glaze. I know a lot of people who do that. I was
I have never heard of a ketchup glaze.
Yeah, you make a little ketchup reduction, and you add some sugar, I think. Or maybe the ketchup has enough sugar where you don't need to. But you reduce it a bit, and then pour it on top and let it caramelize in the oven.
That seems odd.
Yes.
Yeah. I would just put ketchup on it afterwards on my plate if I wanted ketchup.
That's what you're supposed to do.
The only glazing I would do is like a honey glaze on a ham steak.
Fair enough.
Brown sugar glaze on a whole ham, spiral cut.
Honey and brown sugar glaze.
I don't see why not.
We had a lot of experimenting for a while with mashed sweet potatoes, mixing it with brown sugar and honey, and maple syrup was a very good addition.
To the mashed potatoes? Oh, I'll have to try that.
To the mashed sweet potatoes.
Ooh, that would work really well. Oh, that's genius.
Oh, yes. It was fantastic.
I've done weird stuff with acorn squash.
Ew.
But sweet potatoes with maple syrup, I'm going to try that next time I make it. Well done.
It was very tasty. And that could be the side for the meatloaf.
Yeah.
And of course, to our viewers and listeners out there, by all means post what would your ideal meal be. You can do the main course, the appetizer, you can do dessert, drinks, pairings, all the stuffs. Post in the comments accordingly. And if you want to go all out, give us recipes. Because we're experimenters. If we're intrigued, we'll try stuff.
Oh, yeah. Anything you can think of, if it piques our interest, we'll work on it. Heck, we may even record our findings.
I will eat it on the air, guaranteed.
And or the results.
I'm willing to try anything once, for better or worse.
Same.
We know this.
Yep.
You even tried that wine twice.
Each time counts as once, considering one was normal and one was shaken. I mean, that's how I've ended up trying haggis puffs, or last weekend I tried venison jerky, which wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be, just very smoky.
You thought venison jerky would be bad?
I had no idea what to expect. I've never had venison. But
venison
it was just overly smoky, but not bad.
Yeah, that's weird. You don't really necessarily need to smoke jerky either. You can just dry it, honestly, and it comes out really good. I'm thinking about making some. I have a friend who made some and brought it camping, and he was
If
like,
it's
"It's
anything
so
like your
easy."
friend that makes wine, I'll pass.
No, different friend. Although it might be the same friend. Although it would be stored properly, unlike the meat was not stored properly. I'll try it first, and if I don't pass out, we'll be fine.
Only if we get it on recording.
Deal.
CJ, you mentioned haggis.
Yes.
I am actually a big fan of haggis.
Really?
Surprisingly.
When did you get a chance to try it?
The chip shop in Brooklyn. The only place I know that makes it. And they deep fry it. It is freaking amazing.
Not quite sure about the deep frying part, but I am intrigued.
I have to take you there one day and try it out. It's if you can deal with like very gamey tastes, it's very good. Like they make it quite nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for it.
Plus, you should just go to the chip shop, period. That place is freaking awesome.
Do they have chips?
You know good and well they do.
Wait, like American chips or English chips?
This place is straight up English fare.
Okay. Good.
Fish and chips.
Yep, they got that.
I'm sold.
My favorite fish and chips place is still Assault and Battery in Manhattan.
You know, I've yet to check that place out. We got close to going there once, but
a couple times.
We got distracted by a tea shop or some cars or something.
I don't even remember. It's very tiny, but they're very good. So it's kind of one of our places because we always find the tiny places.
Yeah, all the out of the way places, those are always the best. There's a bunch of other places that I need to take you to. We'll talk about that after the show. 'Cause we'll be here all night talking about food.
Yeah. But hey, in the meantime, let's move on. All right. With that, it's time to migrate to the highlight reel. And we are actually skipping news articles for this week simply because of time constraints. So we're going to dive right into book bundles. Because, hey, you didn't get enough books from me already just talking for half an hour or so. So we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to push the buttons. We're going to do the things, and it's going to do the stuff. And, hey, screen sharing. All right. First one up is Story Bundle has put out a new one as of today, the Epic Fantasy Bundle. I have not had time to look into details as to just what each book is about, unfortunately, but it's epic fantasy, so I'm already intrigued. You got The Magic Touch by Jody Lynn Nye. You have Game Earth, Book 1 of the Game Earth trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson. I've heard about that one, so I'm already intrigued by it because I've heard a couple other people talk about it. You also got The Crown and the Dragon by John D. Payne. I like the title. One Horn to Rule Them All by Todd McCaffrey, Jody Lynn Nye, Mary Pletch, and more. So I presume this is a short story compilation of some sort. A Purple Unicorn Anthology. I'm intrigued. You have Mythworld Invisible Moon by James A. Owen. Beasts of Tabat by Kat Rambo. I'm not sure if I want to hope that that is a pen name or if that is his actual name. Because if that's your actual name, that's kind of fun. But if it's just a pen name, that's really clever. You have, all right, so those are all just pay whatever you want. If you pay $1, you get all 6 of those books. If you up it to, shows how much prep I've done beforehand because I was rushing. If you pay $15 or more, you get, along with those 6, A Stranger to Command by Sherwood Smith. Sherwood Smith has been in a couple of these bundles, and I've seen him around in a lot of other stuff, so definitely a very interesting writer. You have Hard Times in Dragon City, Shotguns and Sorcery, #1 by Matt Forbeck. The Alchemist by Paolo, I'm not pronouncing that last name because I would butcher it. I love the cover art. And you have The Executionist by Tobias Buckell, which looks like the same cover artist, so I'm curious what's going on there. You have Ghosts of the Conquered by Matthew Kane, Glamour of the Touched by Ron Collins, and you also get a newsletter bonus, Clockwork Lives, The Bookseller's Tale by Kevin Anderson, which is free to subscribers. So if you have already subscribed to Story Bundle in the past, you get the Clockwork Lives newsletter free without even having to buy this bundle or invest in it or anything. But if you pay $15, you get 12 books and the newsletter. Not too shabby for ebooks, and it looks like there's a fair spread of epic fantasy amidst that. And if you're debating, or if you have a paycheck you're waiting for, you have 22 days, 3 hours, 21 minutes, and 18 seconds to think about it before this one disappears forever. And over at Humble Bundle, they've updated their book bundle to a combination of IDW and Top Shelf Productions for a comic bundle. I actually believe that IDW is at BookExpo this year. Pretty sure I saw a booth there for them. But for this one, if you just toss in $1, you can get Richard Starks Parker, The Hunter by Darwin Cook, March, Book 1 by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell, Nemo, Heart of Ice, and Nemo, The Roses of Berlin by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. You also get Lock and Key Volumes 1 through 3 by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Volume 3. Not sure why they couldn't toss in Volumes 1 and 2, but maybe that'll be some extras at some point. Again by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. It's a fantastic series, well worth the read. We Can Fix It by Jess Fink. Oh wait, sorry. The first 4 that I mentioned, those are just pay like $1 or more, whatever you want, and you get those. If you pay the average, which just fluctuates, you get The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, We Can Fix It. You also get God is Disappointed in You. Well, that's depressing. By Mark Russell and Shannon Wheeler. You also get Alone Forever, equally depressing, by Liz Prince. You also get Lock and Key Volumes 4 and 5 to go along with Volumes 1 through 3. And they'll add some more along the way before this one peters out. Oh, this is new. If you pay the average price plus $5, you unlock the bonus tier. Normally it's just a set price. That's funky. But if you happen to pay that, which currently is $19.09, so it's probably going to be about $20 or more whenever you check it out, you'd also get Nemo, River of Ghosts by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill, March, Book 2, again by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell. You also would get Richard Starks Parker, Slayground by Darwin Cook, and Lock and Key Volume 6, Alpha and Omega by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. That's a pretty crazy spread for $20, give or take. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ebooks for $20 plus whatever else they toss in before the time runs out, which is in 13 days, 17 hours, 18 minutes, and like 13 seconds as of this recording. So you got plenty of time to think about it. So if you're into graphic novels from IDW or Top Shelf Productions, this may be the bundle for you. I've heard a lot about Lock and Key. I keep seeing it come up here and there, so I'm kind of intrigued, but I don't know. I feel like considering the 16 books I've gotten today, the 50 books I'll get tomorrow, the 100 books I'll get on Friday, not to mention Saturday or Sunday, maybe I should skip this one. I don't know. And, oh, I didn't queue up the others.
You know what? I would let you get these books if you donated all the money to charity.
Slider. So, well, let's say we did the 25, because just for purposes. So if I were to do, I think that's the one they're doing this time around. So if I just did that, give all the money to whatever charity or donation they're promoting this time around,
then I would not complain about buying books.
Fair enough. I'm not going to do that this time around, or at least not on the show.
Hey, could you enter your credit card information while you're on that page?
Sure. Would you like the credit card or the PayPal that ties into the credit card?
Ooh, that one's fine.
And you're going to see a quick sneak peek of the show notes because I didn't queue up the other two websites because I'm silly like that. And I kind of forgot that they were down there. But we have two more stock photography websites because we still have a few in the queue to show. And they're, just like last week, they are Creative Commons 0. So you can basically do what you wish with them.
Are you allowed to take a picture of a logo and just call that Creative Commons 0? I feel like that's a weird gray area.
Specifically of a logo, probably not. But if it's with other stuff, with the example of what's on the screen at the moment, where
that's what I'm referring to.
I think that's like an iMac plus a desk and other stuff. I think you're more okay. But admittedly, I have not done my research. I just know that the stocks.im is royalty-free stocks photos, and they pull from various other Creative Commons 0 websites.
I guess if it's Creative Commons 0 and you don't make money off it, it's not like they can really sue you for lost profits or gaining profits based on their intellectual property.
Yeah, if it's for non-commercial purposes, you have a lot more free reign with Creative Commons 0 and stuff like this. If it's for commercial purposes, it gets a little fuzzier, but if they promote it as Creative Commons 0, you should be safe. But still take that with a grain of salt and be careful.
Anyone can sue anyone for any reason at any time.
Yeah. Even if this image specifically were pure Creative Commons 0 and they had no way of winning a legal battle, they could still try and sue you anyway, just because they can.
Yeah.
Even if they lose, they could still put you through that whole process. So
and hope that you settle out of court.
Yeah.
But other than that, excellent photos everywhere on all these sites.
I mean, if you're not using it for commercial purposes, this is fun just for inspiration purposes and to get ideas for stuff. I mean, this one is primarily for more business-y stuff. Just quickly scrolling. Well, I don't know what that one is. But it has a lot of business settings, and it pulls from places like Unsplash, Little Visuals, which I'm not overly familiar with. This is more scenery stuff, so you might have to do some digging to see just what they have, but they pull from a fair amount of places, as you can see. What is travel coffee? I like coffee and I like traveling.
I'm not sure what I expected.
Neither am I, but it's basically coffee related. Well, maybe not the ship or that. Coffee and travel, maybe. Might be the mix for this particular one.
That appears to be the case.
But yeah, it's just a fun website. hey,
Ooh, flying squirrel.
it's a fun place to just skim through. And they claim to be royalty free and all that and focus more on Creative Commons Zero stuff, so hey, Taiwan jellyfish.
Neat.
So definitely worth a perusal if you have the time. And in similar vein, we have peak.space, which is purely space photography. And it's all Creative Commons Zero, but I love their layout for the website. And if you're worried about it looking like the curved style image you have here, if you click on the image, it is decent resolution for most of them, just square or rectangular imagery. So you don't have to worry about kind of the funky oblong style shape. And it's all primarily aerospace and cosmic. I had a lot of fun just skimming through this one for a while because it has a lot of nice imagery. And those are all the highlights we have for this week. Because we've talked about a ridiculous amount of books to fill up time. Which means it's time for the Productivity and Inspiration Station segment. Hey, I survived the first day of BookExpo 2015. And I ended up with 16 books because of it. And I've also survived a weekend whirlwind of talking about stuff, things, and whatnots. Because I visited Will and Ed. Well, I visited Will. I saw Ed for maybe 3 seconds amidst all 3 days. But we managed to actually talk a bit about stuff, and I've begun to realize just how much stuff needs to be coordinated. So I still consider that progress, because we did do stuffs, and we had fun, because that's what we do. So I'm going to count that as a win.
And you bought new shirts.
And I bought new shirts.
Because you had to, because you forgot to bring shirts.
I was going to say because reasons, but yeah, I've been so ridiculously distracted that I was multitasking, packing my bag for the weekend while doing work, that once work finally downloaded, I went back to that before I had managed to put extra shirts in my bag for the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it at all.
You shouldn't be. You should
No.
be filled with shame.
I was. I don't know how I managed to do that. That's special, even for me.
Turned into a nice little road trip, though.
Yeah, it was
As
nice
long
to
as
get
you
out.
didn't swing by the book barn.
Maybe.
There's no proof. No, considering we ended up in Lisbon, there were no books involved. But yeah, that's all I really had time for since last episode. Presumably next episode's going to be a little more productive considering all the convention survival and whatnot. But that's for next week. Hey, how has Will fared since last week?
Well, I got more Word Ninja Live episode backlog taken care of for editing for the audio-only catalog.
Yay.
We're getting pretty close to being all caught up, I assume.
I think so. We're still on track to be completely current by Kineticon.
Sweet. I love it. And I shall continue going through all those old episodes. It's funny because the episodes that I just edited are you guys talking about last year's Book Expo.
Oh, good lord.
The timing worked out perfectly.
Was there any commentary on oh yeah, we're going to read all these books. It's going to be fantastic.
This was like the episode right before you went to Book Expo, and you're all talking about, yeah, we're going to be at Book Expo. And I think there was one afterwards where you were like, yeah, we got a whole bunch of books, we're going to read them all. And I bet they're still sitting unread on your shelf.
I read half of them.
I doubt they're on any sort of structural shelf. I bet they're more stacked in a vertical pile somewhere in his room.
Oh no, the Book Expo ones are on the bottom shelf of my to-be-read bookcase. I can see all of them in one little pile there.
Most of my Book Expo grabs are in my bookshelf in the hallway, with the exception of Blood for the Sun, which is right next to my bed waiting to be read.
Unmuted. Or mute. I was unmuted the whole time. I thought I was muted. Anyway. Let's see. Other than that, I typed up and am in the process of reviewing and editing the next chapter for Roommate. Actually did a little bit of that earlier today. So yay! Progress on that as well.
Cool.
Excuse me.
And then I also, this is more of the inspiration section, I suppose. I researched some anatomy-based stuff for future characters that actually ended up leading in character redesigns because reasons. They'll be appearing in future stories, but I found it interesting and inspiring. Yay!
Cool. And hey, how has Justin survived since last week?
So, in anticipation of taking Friday off to go to Book Expo, my work decided to have 3 emergency projects due all on the same day, as of this Wednesday, as of today. One got pushed back, one is done, and one the customer forgot about and doesn't know that it's due today, so we're going to deliver it tomorrow.
Gee.
I worked all Memorial Weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for 8+ hours. I learned a lot and feel that it was time well spent. Maybe not on that weekend, but the time in general was well spent. I would prefer to spend that time during the regular work week. That's fine. And then I come to find out Monday night when I'm like, I'm still not going to get this done in time. It was due on Friday. It's Monday night, and it's still not quite done. I should call and see, what the temperature of the room is. And so I call my friend. He's like, oh, they didn't tell you? I'm like, tell me what? Oh, yeah, they moved the date from 2 weeks from now. Oh, so what you're saying is that I didn't need to spend 3 effing days all Memorial Weekend working on it. Great. Awesome. But because of that, I rewarded myself by working tomorrow from home. I have some essays to write. Or not essays, technical papers. Essays. And they need to get done. But if I don't get the material that I need, then I can't write them, so it may be just a regular day off. But in between Hearthstone, I'll be doing work. And then Friday, obviously, I'll be at Book Expo the whole day.
And then you can see just how many books there are.
Yeah, I have a lot of books to read myself. Oh, and I planned all my summer vacation trips. I got a new credit card that has miles and stuff and benefits, and so I'll be using that. That's very exciting. It was exciting to me. And yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun this summer, despite the fact that the wife's going to be going away for 2 months to another country.
Well, figuring out your summer trips is definitely fun.
Yeah. I'm flying to the other end of the country and then doing a quick hop somewhere else and then flying back. And during that quick hop, I decided to take first class.
Nice.
Nice.
And then next year, I'm going on an Alaskan cruise with my wife and my parents and a couple friend of theirs, and that's going to be really fun. And we have aft-facing balcony seats. We're booking 15 months in advance, and there are only 3 of those rooms left.
Presumably those are good locations?
Good locations, expensive locations.
Ah.
My parents couldn't afford to get them. So they said that they were going to visit my room often. So I told them I was going to charge a cover. So I'm not sure if I should do like an hourly rate or just a full like cover charge per night to come hang out on the balcony.
Depends on how long they stay and how much they interrupt things.
I don't think there'll be any things to interrupt. We keep it very low key when we're traveling.
What if you're reading a really good book and don't want to be interrupted?
The one thing I'm going to be upset about is I'm not going to be able to reasonably sit out on the balcony reading a book and drinking a scotch, because I think that would be really fun.
Why would you not be allowed to?
You can't bring alcohol on board because reasons. And I don't know if they're going to let me take a glass of neat scotch, if they even allow a pour of neat scotch, and bring it to my room. That maybe I have to do my research and see if I can pull it off. But I would love to have a Talisker 10 while sitting out on the literal ocean drinking.
That would be nice. Well, hopefully that works out.
Yeah, we'll see. I got a year and change to figure it out.
And how has Calvin survived the last week?
I made it out of last week okay, I think. I started reading Infernal Devices by K.W. Jeter. That's been my latest read.
That one looks like a fun read.
It starts really slow, and if you're not well versed with SAT words, it's going to be a very painful read in the beginning, but it picks up after the second chapter. If you can get through the first chapter, you're good. So far, it's getting really good, really good. So I'm excited to continue reading that. And other than that, I've been editing the voice tracks for Infinity's Light. We're doing post-production right now, trying to get things together for the crowdfunding campaign. So
yeah, I think they're even getting their promo reel, or at least a little promo thingy, put together soon.
The AkaiCon promo, we're going to be working on that soon too.
I saw some preview earlier, either today or earlier this week, but I haven't had a chance to really look at it that close.
Richie threw something together real quick. I'll be making a more final version of that though.
Nice.
Let's see. Actually, started putting together a couple of tracks for the little strips that we've been working on, to kind of get some mood music going along with the strips, those specific strips.
Cool.
So, it's been fun working on those, especially this one track that kind of has a very like old Hanna-Barbera cartoon feel to it. So I had been having fun with that one. I got a pretty bare version of it for the strips, but the full version is on its way to completion, and it's gonna be a cool one.
Nice.
Let's see, what else have I been doing? Oh yeah, yesterday began my running season for the year. Trying to get some exercise in so my bones and my muscles don't atrophy from sitting here and doing all this work. But the initial regrets are beginning to set in, as everything hurts right now. But I got ibuprofen and all sorts of remedies and icy hot and all that other good stuff, so I'll be okay, I think.
No dying. I need you Friday. And maybe Saturday.
Hey. Yeah, speaking of Friday and possibly Saturday, I'm actually getting ready to rent a camera lens specifically so we can do these interviews. So I'll be able to actually have the camera close enough to see and hear everything that's going on.
We may need it.
As I remember the lens that I used for the Chris Kaysen interview, you probably remember I was like 10 feet away.
Yeah.
I was at least 10 feet away from the two of you, just so I could frame the shot properly. So I'm renting a lens.
You're not going to have 10 feet.
Which is why I'm renting this lens. Much shorter focal length, wide-angle lens. So this one should give me the focal length I need to be able to frame everything properly and like have enough space to get close to everybody.
We'll talk logistics off air.
Yep. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's been my week. Not too bad of a week.
Well, it seems like we've all had stuff to do, kept ourselves busy, one way or the other.
Oh, definitely.
All right, onwards to events. Hey, we're already in one. BookExpo was today, is tomorrow, and Friday. And then BookCon, which is open to just more of the general public, is this Saturday and Sunday. ConnectiCon, thankfully, isn't until like all the way off in July, so I'm not too worried about that. Although we have a metric fuck ton to do for that. Good lord. Yeah. For those of you unable to attend BookExpo, and if you can't even make it to BookCon, we're going to be getting all sorts of stuff, either interviews or photos or recordings, this or that, or a ridiculous amount of books. So we're going to be tossing all of that up on the website as we get it. So even if you miss out, you'll at least see bits and pieces of what there is to see.
We'll do all the heavy work for you.
Yes, both literally and figuratively. But with that, hey, that's a show. We've run out of things to talk about in an hour and a half because, hey, it's already been over an hour and a half. So, as always, if we have entertained you in any way, shape, or form, subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can check out our previous episodes, be alerted to our future episodes, because, hey, our 2-year anniversary is coming up, episode 97. Just a few more to go. And we also have our Game Break series going on over there. Any of our press stuff, like all of the interviews we're getting on Friday, are going to be recorded and then tossed up on our YouTube channel for you to check out. So definitely worth subscribing to and keeping an eye out for all the stuff we toss up on there. If you want to talk to us via social media, we're over on Twitter at FCWordNinja, and we keep track of the hashtag WordNinjas if you want to talk to us directly and get our attention. You can also find us on Tumblr, fcwordninja.tumblr.com, or our Facebook page, facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. If you want to help fund all of our crazy, ridiculous endeavors and help us make a pig turducken or get us to other conventions or do recordings and afford lenses and stuff, go check out our Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/fullcoveragewriters. all purchases help us get more shiny baubles so we can go to more conventions and achieve more diabolical machinations for you all. If you want to track me down directly, good luck with that lately, but best bet is my personal Tumblr, fancypantswolf.tumblr.com, or occasionally the Fairy Tale Podcast as Makarov on Monday nights over on their YouTube channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I am hoping to make it there next Monday because theoretically I have that day off. I'm not at a convention. I'm not working. I don't have any other things to distract me, so I should be on. And hey, where can people track Will down?
Usually you can find me on my Tumblr page at darkhom.tumblr.com. That's darkhom.tumblr.com. You can also check out stuff involving My Roommate's a Stripper at myroommatesastripper.tumblr.com when I remember to update it. I realized the other day that aside from posting the chapters and occasional other little things, I don't post as many updates as I probably should on my progress. Oh well, I'll try to be better than that in the future. Excuse me. And if you're looking to support me, you can check me out at patreon.com/darkhom. Yes, that's the URL.
Yep. And can anyone even track Justin down outside of the podcast?
You can track me down next year drinking on the balcony on a cruise, because apparently you're allowed to take any alcohol that you purchase on board the ship to anywhere on the ship.
Nice.
So awesome. Other than that, because I haven't updated anything, I am punishing myself by not promoting my own crap once again. Hopefully after this nightmare is over, I will post stuff again. And I'm actually thinking about turning on a Twitter handle, but I gotta get a good name first. So stay tuned. I've been very busy, but after these projects are over, there's not a whole lot of stuff coming in, so I'll be able to be more productive and do things that I enjoy instead of working all the time.
We can give you plenty of work if you want.
Oh no, half of that I'm talking about. I need to do work for you guys, not just my company.
And where can people track down Calvin?
Where can you find me? That's a good question.
At an oyster bar?
Depends on the day. Yeah, I've been laying pretty low on social media lately. Best place to find me these days is somewhere on Instagram at ccwii. So, yeah, there.
All right. And with that, that is a show. Thank you for joining us for episode 93 of Word Ninjas Live. Tune in next week to see just how we all fared at BookExpo and BookCon and work and everything else that is getting in our way. And in the meantime, have a good night, everyone. Greetings and salutations, viewers and listeners. Welcome to episode 93 of Word Ninjas Live. I am your host, Charles, your instigator of creative insanity. Because it's convention week, there's no productivity this week. There is just insanity and running around and flailing and books. Lots and lots of books. Hey, joining me tonight are my regular hosts, or co-hosts, Will.
Hello.
Justin.
Disheveled, but here.
And Calvin.
Everything hurts.
As you can see, between the four of us, we probably have one working body. So with that, we're going to do a show.
As much of a show as we can muster.
Yeah. Well, seeing as today was actually a convention day, I came back with about 40 minutes to spare because I managed to catch an earlier train. Today is going to be BookExpo First Impression, since there's still tomorrow and Friday, not to mention BookCon on Saturday and Sunday. Good Lord. And I'm sure Justin's just going to love this segment because we get to do a book haul of all the stuff I got.
For free.
For free.
Well, that's fine.
So that's the caveat.
Yeah, no spending money on books.
I didn't spend a dime on any of this.
Well, that's fine.
Unless you factor in travel costs and food.
I don't.
Yay.
Now I do.
Crap.
Oh.
But yeah, BookExpo 2015 so far for just the first half day, it's run pretty smoothly from what I can see. I mean, they had the registration lines just powering through all the people who had pre-registered and had their stuff. I got all 3 of our badges within like a 2-minute span of getting in a line that was about 30 people long. So, thankfully, we're all set. And the layout's a little different this year, but just as many vendors and exhibitors and whatnot. Although a good portion is now taken over with more international exhibitors, primarily China. They have, I'd say, 1/5 to 1/6 of one side of the convention hall of just Chinese vendors. And then you also have the other international vendors from various other places. It seems like all of the heavy hitter publishers are still on the same side. I'm still not sure how BookCon is going to play out, considering it's the same convention. They're not going to move people around, so I'm not sure which side of the hall they're taking. Presumably the side without the international vendors, but I don't know. I'll find out Saturday. And I did learn that some of the people I was not expecting to be there are actually there this year. It's just they are in smaller groups, where in the memoir piece, if I remember correctly. Run to Live by Greg Spagna, who apparently has been running every other day for like 50 years to keep in health and do other things, and tossed all of his life lessons in there. He was a very nice person to talk to. And then from Waldorf Publishing, who we get to talk to on Friday, How to Get People to Scream Your Name and Beg for More. The P's and Keys to Living the Ultimate Life by Tom Morrison.
So, CJ, I remember you telling me that you are not allowed to bring a rolly cart to carry all these books.
Correct. They do tend to frown on that.
How did you carry all of these books? Because this is starting to get absurd, and it sounds to me like you have more books that you're going to go through. How did you carry all of these books, physically?
Well, I had my message.
I might be able to answer that one. If it's anything like last year, there's plenty of vendors that give out various branded bags and the like, and so I'm willing to bet that CJ has gotten at least one of them. And look at that.
From Waldorf Publishing.
But just the required arm strength to carry those around literally all day.
This is actually.
I think Justin's trying to say that CJ's a weakling.
No. I'm impressed that he can carry that much for long periods of time.
No. I am a weakling. That is true.
Just kind of the excitement of the day kind of keeps you going.
Like, do I need to do bicep curls tonight to make sure I can carry all these books?
I had them split between these two bags, and then I kind of shifted some into my messenger bag and tossed the rest into one of these bags, and it all kind of balanced out. It was admittedly heavy, but...
I may bring a backpack. Do they allow backpacks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Backpacks are allowed, yeah.
I did see people with rolly bags around. It's just, it really is frowned upon. Because people...
They're annoying.
Yeah, people get... book avalanche. People get tripped on them. They just get in the way. But we also have... What is this? Keep a Knockin', the story of a legendary drummer by Charles Connor, also by Waldorf Publishing. And it has a foreword by Chad Smith, drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Nice. Here's the book itself. And the last book, before Justin totally freaks out, What Did Jesus Drive? Crisis PR in Cars, Computers, and Christianity by Jason Vines. Also by Waldorf Publishing. And not a book, but also just one of the various little giveaways and around. Feathered Friend Extra Ticket, as long as one of you has a business that fits within the logistics of BookExpo. Thankfully, we fit in there.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Yeah. But one of the many fun things about BookExpo is generally free advanced release copies. And I have a few of them. And seeing as I'm not going to have time to do a book haul video until Monday, I figure I might as well do today's book haul today on the show. I'll probably do a full book haul on Monday once I actually have time to recoup and hopefully get a couple hours of sleep. Maybe. Possibly. Probably not. But, yeah, kicking things off, I did find our friend Spencer Hill Press from last year. They are there again, and I said hello. And I managed to get Michelle Smith's Play On, which I started reading on the train, and I'm already, well, a third of the way through now. And if it ends the way I'm hoping it really doesn't end, I'm going to be upset. Because they're really heading towards a Walk to Remember territory, and I'm not going to lie, I love that movie. It's a guilty pleasure, but please don't go into that territory. Because, no, not allowed.
Because sadness.
Yeah.
I too enjoyed that movie. It was fine.
And we also got The Stag Lord by Darby Kay, also by Spencer Hill Press. And I don't think I've read anything by Darby Kay yet, either under this pseudonym or the other one. This one is apparently the pseudonym for books that are not for children. So, I'm intrigued. And I mean, it's Spencer Hill Press. Everything I've read from them so far has been fantastic, so I'm sure I'm not going to be let down. And I'll have a lot of fun with it. We also got Reconstruction, First a Body, Then a Life by Ara Lucia Ashburn, which has a very nice cover art, which caught my attention originally. We also have The Ohm Factor. 7 Essential Tools and 7 Key Traits to Cultivate for Your Success and Well-Being by Alka Dilion. By Select Books, which I'm not overly familiar with, but they were in the same huddle with Spencer Hill Press. You got The Diet Myth. Why the Secret to Health and Weight Loss is Already in Your Gut by Tim Spector. And I actually got to talk to the author for like 2 minutes about it. Sounds very interesting. Let's see. Rememberers, an urban fantasy novel by C. Edward Baldwin. There we go. Instead of them having individual tables, it's like a dozen people in one giant booth all sharing one common space, and it's under that name when you search for it. So I was pleasantly surprised to find various people that we met last year that I didn't expect to see again. So yay! And I got to meet some of the people that we're interviewing on Friday, and I even got some copies of the books for that.
Nice.
Yes. And I think it's just because it was the first half day, it did not seem overwhelming. It was not crowded, it wasn't overkill. I only missed one book grab because I showed up a half an hour early, and they ran out of books about 20 minutes before I showed up. Because apparently it's a popular book and all. So if you don't show up an hour beforehand, you're not getting one.
Ooh.
But otherwise, I had no problems just roaming around, seeing what there was to see, getting a lay of the land. So tomorrow we have a few talks lined up, not necessarily interviews, but I'm going to have my recorder with me just in case if we get anything worthwhile. We'll see. Friday's really the big hitter day where we get 4 or 5 interviews. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I.
And
As I lug all of my equipment.
You better show up, because I don't want to lug my stuff. I don't want to carry my rig.
Well, I've already put in for my my exchange day, so I'm coming.
That's good.
I'll be there.
I'm taking tomorrow and Friday off, even though I'm working tomorrow. I'll explain how that works later. And I am going, and it's a good thing we have all those interviews on Friday because there'll be 3 of us instead of just poor CJ trying to record all that.
But
do you feel that the fact that it's not on the weekend anymore changes based on your experiences last year?
I have a feeling it will have a significant difference in that BookExpo last year was, I want to say, like Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you get the weekend crowd, which can kind of pump up the foot traffic. And then I think it was Sunday was also BookCon concurrently with BookExpo, so it just exploded with foot traffic and was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was madness in every sense of the word.
I think
fun madness, but still madness.
Yeah, that might be why they've split the 2 conventions. So I did notice that there was still a fair amount of non-industry attendees, in that they were definitely too young to be bloggers or self-published or own a publishing company or anything, because I don't think they're even in high school yet, from what I could see from some of the ages there. So I'm not quite sure how that worked, but
Large sums of money.
yeah. I mean, if you need a helper, you just got to pay the price of the... I think he was just a standalone author there, if I remember correctly. Very nice person. And we have 7 Brides for 7 Bodies by Stephanie Bond, which the line was about 2 people long when they were doing the book signing, so I figured, why not? Because most of the lines are not 2 people long. And the person was very nice, so I look forward to adding that to my reading pile, or just throwing it at someone else on the crew to read, because I do that.
Do you do that?
Occasionally. You still have some of my books, and so does Will. I don't think I've thrown any at Calvin. He just takes whatever he wants.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds like a Calvin move.
I still want to read Blood for the Sun, because you got that one last year.
Oh, you didn't get a copy of that one?
No,
okay.
We only got 1 copy, and you grabbed it first.
Ah, okay. All right. We'll do a swap at some point.
Eventually.
I got to finish my current book, and then I'll get to that one.
It's going to take me a while to get through these, so there's no rush.
Okay.
We also have Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. Points for the rhyming. This was from Amulet Books.
Why does that title sound familiar?
It is now a major motion picture, according to the cover.
Huh.
Though this novel begs comparisons to John Green's The Fault in Our Stars, it stands on its own in inventiveness, humor, and heart. Well then. You also have Your Heart is a Muscle the Size of a Fist by Sunil Yapa. And the little promo quote on here is a literary Molotov cocktail. Here's the cover. This is from Lee Bordeaux Books, which is an imprint of Little Brown and Company. Huh. We get a little mystical with Mornings with the Masters, Mystical Journeys in a Postmodern World by Carol E. Richardson, which I talked to her for a little while. Apparently it blends a lot of the religious and cultural icons and kind of blends all of their philosophies together into one master philosophy, as it were. It sounded interesting. You got 5 Nincompoops, The Princess and One Savior, How It All Went Down by Kay Edward, which is a little book. Nice and should be a fun little read. You also have The Stages of Grace by Connie Rubin and Kate O'Neill, which was